Hello everybody, and welcome. Today is the 19th of October. It's about 3:30 this afternoon, and this is a regularly scheduled and posted meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Newbury Town Library. In attendance today we have
Richard Raven.
and
Terry Looters.
and
Beth Tsunami.
and me. I'm Alex Burke, and with the four of us we have a quorum and we can proceed. Also in attendance is
Erin Thompson.
who is a director here at our Newbury Town Library. And all that said, by way of introductions, let us move forward with the agenda as published. First item on the agenda is the review and approval of the meetings of the September 21, 2022 meeting. And has everybody had a chance to look at these minutes? Are there any exceptions or changes wanted?
No.
I move approval.
Second.
That's second. And unanimously, we have accepted the minutes of the September 21 meeting. Okay, two side notes, if I may, on this. First note on the minutes of September 21 indicate that we no longer need to seek a waiver from the Mass Board of Library Commissioners to seek state aid because the minimum municipal appropriation requirement has been met. And I wanted to ask if the board would be willing to approve a motion to thank Erin Thompson, Dick Passeri, and Jean Ackerley for the work they have done over the last several years to bring us to the point that the waiver has now become unnecessary. So that's my motion. Would anybody?
What does it mean, though? What do you mean?
It's just a motion of appreciation and
Oh,
and thanks.
absolutely.
That's all.
Okay.
And could I suggest adding Tracy at Town Hall,
Oh, God, yes.
as well as Eileen, who did a ton of work with the MVLC, trying to kind of sort through everything.
Right,
That would be my only thing, would be to add them.
right, I forgot.
Oh, no.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. We are fortunate because it's going to save a ton of work for Erin and a ton of stress for us guys. I mean, we've all, Dick more than any of the rest of us, lived our way through it. And a second note in here, in the, 1, 2, 3, what is it, the penultimate paragraph perhaps? There's
Eileen's last name?
Oh, my gosh. Why am I blanking?
Eileen,
That's what she said, so we're having,
I can't remember.
I'm looking at it. Let's see.
She's the town accountant.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know how I'm.
you should know.
I should know.
I should.
We're all having
Devote.
senior runs.
DE capital VEAU.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And one other note.
Is Diane involved too? The treasurer?
If she could have been, but I don't know that part of it. I do know that Eileen was the one who spoke with Mary Rose Quinn over at the MBLC
That's right.
Okay.
to kind of get to the bottom of stuff.
Okay.
I'd like to suggest we add Mary Rose Quinn to this list of appreciation because
That's true.
she really gave both you, but and I know Jean particularly, huge support and guidance about how over the years to shape the budget to
Yeah.
put us in this position.
It's good, and if we're going to express, as we are, our appreciation for the help we've had getting off this train that's been running for 2 decades now. A lot of folks have a hand in it, and we are benefiting at this point.
Yay.
Yes, quite right, Terry. Quite right.
So we need to second have we voted yet on this?
We have not.
All right.
Yeah, sure, yeah, yes.
I want to get the names right, make sure I didn't miss anybody.
Of course.
Erin, Jean, Dick P., Eileen DeVoe, Tracy, and Mary Rose Quinn.
Right.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Accuracy is terrifically important. Okay, so move approval. and unanimously granted. So that's great, thanks guys. Okay, another thing, another item I just wanted to speak a bit about. In the meeting of September 21, we, the trustees, agreed to seek approval from the town administrator and select board for the use of ARPA funds to create or to install an emergency generator here at the library. We have now approved that motion with our acceptance of the minutes, and the select board has already, knowing of course that we would approve it, that we have been authorized, they approved the expenditure of as much as $80,000 to install an electric emergency generator, which is one more thing we're going to be dealing with, I guess, going forward. So, realistic timeline, it won't happen until next spring, but it will happen. So the thing you and I, Terry, during the last training session for the election workers, looked at and said, what? No generator? Gonna be cured. Won't be cured for November, but wait, doesn't matter because you're not here usually. You're over at the other precinct.
I'm at the other prison.
But anyway, that was the basis on which we approached the select board and asked for the use of the funds in that fashion to avoid emergencies at election time, and also to create a cooling and heating center here in the library in season if needed, and finally and obviously to keep the folks working when the lights are on. Just what you need, right? Clearing out things. Anyway, that's enough already, Alex, about that. Okay. And Erin, your turn.
Okay. And did you want me to read through the report, or I don't want to be redundant if everybody's already read it, but I'm happy to.
I've read it, so.
You did too.
I've skimmed it, but yeah, but
Okay. You want me to read it? Okay.
don't read the whole thing, just synopsize it if you can.
Perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Let's see. Well, as Alex said, we no longer need the waiver, which is truly exciting. I did meet with Tracy in September, and we had a really nice meeting. And she came here to the library and was able to see kind of all the changes between the, construction, the building's been painted, and the new rug and whatnot. So we did talk about staff compensation a little bit, and there is no money in the town budget to provide increases, but I was able to provide the increases using state aid for the 2 part-time positions. So that paperwork is all submitted, and the increases go forward as of November 1st, which is right around the corner, and both of those 2 employees are very, very happy and grateful for the increase. Let's see, I do have an action item under staffing, and that is to discuss and ask you to vote on our December holiday hours. So the way that the holidays fall this year, Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve are both on Saturdays when we are open for a half day. Because we get it, and then Christmas falls on a Sunday, as does New Year's Day, and we get floating holidays because they fall on the weekend. Staff has agreed, if the board also agrees, that they would like to use the 4 hours on each day. They would like to use a floater to cover those hours and have us close the building for Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, which are typically not heavily populated here at the library anyway.
Right.
But what that would allow is for staff to be able to travel and, do their holiday things. So I do feel that these closures would have minimal impact on the community on what would be a low library traffic half day for each of them. There is precedence to do this because the following other libraries around us, which are already closed for these holidays and they've posted it, are Amesbury, Boxford, Georgetown, Newport, and Topsfield libraries. Some are going even further and closing at 2 o'clock on Friday, December 23rd, to let people out early, but we're not asking for that. I just wanted to throw that in there. So basically, that's our question. It wouldn't involve any money from anywhere having to pay people, so, because it's covered by the floaters.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
So
Very
moved.
humane.
Okay, second.
Yes.
Oh, you're asking something?
No, I'm seconding.
Oh, awesome.
You beat me to it, that's okay.
Everybody,
Not
All in favor?
competition.
unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave.
I know the staff is going to be very happy.
Oh, this is sensible.
All right.
Good.
The library building and grounds, the locks have been replaced, and Dorothy and I are going to be moving on to the alarm codes, and they will all be changing. This is the next step for securing the building. My glasses are fogging up. Unfortunately, I need them more and more. This will involve the DPW, town hall, and anybody else who typically needs access to the building as they're, we'll be in communications with everybody once we come up with an overall plan. And get their input on what makes the most sense for a timeline. I still don't have a key to the closet in the meeting room for voting, which is okay, but I still don't have one, and I know someone was going to try to get me one, so I just want to mention that one. We had a door in children's get fixed by the DPW, and now that can be locked when we secure the building at night, which is another step towards securing the building. I have no new info on adjusting the public restroom door for accessibility. I have no new info on repair or replacement of the staff wall of a microwave in the lunchroom. But I can honestly say I have kept James busy. So we did not have heat for I think the last 24, 25 days, which typically you wouldn't think we needed it, but we had some really cold days during there. We just got it back yesterday. We also have, that's new this past week, 2 parts of the roof are leaking in children's and leaked. Books needed to be moved and the carpet kind of flooded a little bit.
Oh.
So somebody was supposed to be coming today. I'm not sure if they showed up to look at it yet. And I was also pestering James because the children's public restroom toilet overflowed yesterday. I have kept him busy all by myself, so I'm sure that since he has the entire town to take care of, that these other things will get done in their own time. When there are so many emergencies. Let's see, we have mini splits for the youth services office and this room, local history room, and the children's meeting room on tap. But we have more detective work to do with all of these because I found during the move we have some radiators that I don't know, they're not connected right now. I'm wondering if they should be, and then they would provide heat that way as opposed to mini splits. So we have more detective work to do regarding heating and cooling.
So, I'm a little confused. Do we have mini split units that we're ready to install? Is that what
There was a plan that Jean had in place, and we got 2 in, and then the rest were supposed to follow. So it's kind of on my ongoing list with James to check back to see when there's going to be money to put them in. Yeah, because there wasn't enough money to do them all at once. So Let's see, and I think we have the lights outside all fixed. They,
Oh, good.
yep. We tested them last night and they were on, I think they was 4 or 5 they were on. So we just want to make sure once the time change goes through that they're on if it's dark out there. But it should be all set.
I want to just jump back 1 minute. My brain's not working as fast as it should. My understanding about mini splits is they come on and the radiators don't have to. That's the way it should be set up. Unless they get to a temperature that the mini splits can't handle, then the radiators come on. Because the mini splits are good for, if it gets too cold outside, they can't heat the place that the way they should. And that's why you can have mini splits and radiators in the same location. Because I know we debated getting them for my house. We weren't going to take out our radiators. We were just going to set up a system where they don't come on if the mini splits are on unless they need it. Unless it's 0 outside or 10 below, 10 degrees or something, then the mini splits can't function at that level. That's how I understood it.
Well, we've been kind of treating the mini splits like space heaters in a way. But the thing is that when we moved it turned out that when Jean's desk got brought out, there was a radiator back there, and the architect of the building had stopped by, so I was asking him a bunch of questions about why did this happen and what's this and all of that, and he said that they should have been connected because the radiators don't work, they're not connected.
Oh.
So that's where there's questions on, or I have questions on, what are the original heat and air conditioning sources in each area? What's working, what's not working, what's sufficient, what's insufficient, where do we need to add a mini split, because they aren't cheap. I mean, they're in the broad spectrum, I guess they're cheaper than an HVAC system for sure, but I think, what are they, $3,000 or $4,000 each? Something like that. So those are the kind of questions I still want to nail down.
And broadening the subject a little bit, the capital needs assessment that was done on this building just 2 years ago indicates that we need to be thinking about repair, maintenance, and replacement of the entire HVAC system, because we're into 21, 22 years now. And they're all working just fine, but we need to be thinking forward. Capital needs fall to FinCom, and they may well be aware of this, but we need to be thinking about it too, so that we can advocate for the building,
True, and it is something in the long-range plan, now that you say that I'm weaving into some of the text in the long-range plan.
Oh, good.
To start that awareness. Yeah, that's true. Okay, upcoming programs and events. Our calendars of October and November programs are attached. I hope I can put it up. As you know, we have Harvest Fest coming up this Saturday, which should be a really fun day as always. We have, I think, Cindy, Director of the Council on Aging, going to be a judge, as well as, is it Erica Jacobs and
Alicia
Greco. So those will be our 3 literary pumpkin judges. Let me see. I'll keep you posted on that. We had gone to the Friends Board for more funding to continue holding our yoga program, but because it's extremely popular. But the instructor raised rates to a point we couldn't afford it, and we had never had it consecutive every single week. So it was really eating up the rest of our programming budget, but they declined more funding. So we've been, all 3 of us, Dorothy, myself, and Nikki, applying for local cultural grants, trying to get more money that way. So I will...
If that doesn't work, do you, I don't know if you can do this or not, but ask for, half participant to pay? Because it's certainly less than going to a yoga studio.
It is, but as a library, our
do
kind
it.
of charter is to provide free services to the public. In other states that does happen. If it was a Friends fundraiser and they were doing it, they could charge to raise funds. But for us, we're not supposed to raise funds. And
I think Beth is on target. Pass the hat, have the donations go to friends. Have it go to friends. And have friends flow it through to the yoga instructor.
Well, the only reason,
what it is the free and open access to
Right.
education for people. You could be homeless and have no income.
Right.
And you
Yeah.
come to the library, you can do a program,
I
you
think
can,
that's on the outer edge of unlikely.
it doesn't matter. It's a principle
Yeah,
that is
Yeah.
one of the founding principles of being a public
that's one
library.
of the
The only-
criteria.
So that's, yeah,
No, I
so
understand, yeah.
always keeping that
yeah.
perspective is important.
Oh,
The only reason I asked is because museum passes are a pass for a portion.
True.
So that's the only reason why I was like, well, maybe we could do that with this.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense
But I can
really
see
for
what you're
any other,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's something we did kind of discuss and talk about. And like I said, if it was a fundraiser, the friends would be able to do
That would
that.
be different, yeah. Okay.
And those of us we can all remember when the museum passes used to be free.
I know.
And that's not happening anymore, right?
You're right.
A couple of them
Museums
are,
need money
but
too.
not many.
Mostly,
Yeah.
it's,
But they're a nice
it's
deduction.
a nice deduction, absolutely, but
Yeah.
it's not free the way it
Yeah.
used to be.
No,
Right.
and museums are expensive. Yeah, I wish they were.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, that seems reasonable.
So, but we'll find other sources. Let me see. All right, and so the Friends Update Harvest Fest is this Saturday from 10 to 2. The Friends Board has shrunk. There are a couple of open board positions and a depletion in availability for some of the current board members on the Friends. As far as, how much time they're able to spend. So I'm not sure, we'll see how well this fundraiser goes on Saturday. I'm a little worried about how much it'll bring in, because typically we bring in a lot. They got maybe only half as many donations from community businesses and things like that, which is a surprise. And that's the basis of how they bring in money. So, it may be a sign of economic times and a shift or something like that, I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's probably, people struggled through the first year of COVID and kind of made it through, but by the second year or so, things got harder,
Yeah,
would be my guess.
yeah, I think so too, yeah. Let's see. All right, the role of president and vice president of the Friends are still open board positions. If anybody knows anyone who might be interested. I'll plug in there.
And that's a tough one because they had such a good leader before.
Yeah. This is true. All right. I have attached a revised community room policy that Dorothy reworked. It aims to use more precise language regarding who is responsible for the room when in use. So the issue we've been running into is that sometimes a person books the room and they don't come to pick up the key and they aren't even there at the event. And so the question is, who is ultimately responsible for the room? If something should happen, who are we going to be calling? And that's the person whose contact information we need. So she revised that policy a little bit. If you all got to read, the highlighted part is what she was changing. And as you pointed out, Alex, the whole thing really could use a bit of overhaul. It is lengthy.
I'll take a look at it, I haven't had a minute, but I will.
Are you sure? That's
Absolutely.
awesome. And what we could do
Thank you.
Something I
Is-
can do.
is break
Well-
out the guidelines into a separate document from the policy and have it not even part of the policy. And you know, the guidelines can change, they probably don't need to be voted on, things like that, like what time,
Okay.
how, things like that. The policy,
Perfect.
yeah,
The meeting room policy could go as a subsection in our policies piece on the website,
right,
and the guidelines also, but separately, and that would be a handy handout.
exactly.
Good. One question I had going through it, your comment about, who's responsible and all that kind of thing, and given background, I wondered about the advisability. This is probably really a Tracy question. Should we be seeking a certificate of liability insurance from the renters, the individual, or the entity which wishes to use the room? That would put that individual, or that businesses, that entity's insurance out in front of the library. I don't know what the town's policies are in that matter.
So,
The insurance policies, yes, I can infer those, but the advisability of asking a renter to give us a GL certificate.
so oftentimes it's not a business, so we have a weavers group and a spinners group, and they are, one group is, some locals, and they get together with spinning wheels and they spin. Or the Novo weavers who get together and meet in there. Sometimes it's a condo association who needs a bigger space to be able to fit everybody and have a meeting. So the goal is to serve the community in this way, as well as some businesses who.
Not at the point of imperiling ourselves,
Oh, absolutely.
which is where the GL comes in. The
Right.
condo association can provide it, an individual renting the room can provide it
Yep.
from his or her, it's their, whatever, homeowner policy.
I
It will
see.
reach over,
Okay.
but we need to know what the town of Newbury's attitude is on this kind of thing.
Right.
What does JL stand for?
General liability, I'm sorry,
GL.
I'm sorry,
I can send.
jargon. Sorry.
A question out to directors of other libraries to ask how they handle that, if they use
Why don't you
insurance.
just talk to Tracy?
Okay,
She is the town admin. But that's, again, insurance people see the world through weird prisms. And that's just leapt out to me as I was looking at it here. And it may be, but let's find out. Sorry, guys.
all right.
But I think there is another issue, which is the content of the meeting. And most of the meetings are benign, but I did read in the paper recently about
Oh, yeah.
a political group dealing with issues in education that had to move its meeting room, was it in the library, and then got uninvited from was it Newburyport or Amherst?
Oh, that's
It was
right.
Newburyport, and the library in Newburyport, Kelso and her crew declined the invitation of the, what do they call themselves, CRE? It'll come to me.
Committee for Responsible Education.
Thank you. And not liking the flavor and taste of the flyer, which was to be posted, Kelso said, nope, can't do it. And so the group is meeting in all places at the Elks on Low Street tomorrow evening. But yeah, we're back to policy.
So it's something, I mean, it's something that needs to be thought about, I think.
Agreed.
I mean, we can't just, I think it's complicated.
It
It's
is
getting more complicated. I mean, on the one hand, libraries are bastions of free expression and free speech.
Mhm.
On the other hand, you don't want to have a political group planning I'm just taking to the extreme, a violent, using the community room as a place to gather
Well, we better
their
have
plans for.
Well, yeah.
Insurance for that, right?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, things,
Right.
The concerned citizens meets here on a monthly basis, and you could argue that that's their objective anyway, over the town government, but it is, but you know, you're back to the access thing you just brought forward a few moments ago, Aaron.
Mhm.
You know, it's access to folks who want to attend yoga, it's access to CRE as well, however little we approve or disapprove of what the perceived objectives of the organization happen to be.
And you don't want anybody suing you too and saying, well, you let so-and-sos do it, and we don't agree with them.
Right.
You know, so that's the issue, I think, because I think you brought that up before, when
You
you
know-
had the issue with the reading over in Boxford.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
to me, it's like, you can't, unless they do something that says, okay, you destroyed our place, then you can say, because that's in your policies, you know, you can't
Exactly.
get back,
Right.
get to use it again.
Right.
But again, it's
Right.
supposed to be objective about all of it.
Yeah, I mean, there are people for whom yoga is a religious experience and one they don't care or support. Or whom they deeply care to support because it's their religion. I'm saying that nothing is necessarily benign, even if you look at it. If you look at it.
Cool.
Right.
No, people
So,
are
so-
intent or not.
Well, with intent, you know, libraries have books about probably, you name it, weapons of mass destruction, how to make them perhaps, like there's any number of things in a library. When you try to get into controlling content or judging intent for a public library, that's a very sticky wicket, as Suzanne
We
used to
invented
say.
banned endorsement, but we don't need to live it. Huh?
Yeah,
And you know, you sent us that memorandum from the town's council relative to First Amendment audits.
yeah,
That fits in exactly with what Beth was just talking about,
it does.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
The policy will state, as it does now, I'm sure, and the place is open for conversation and so on. Doesn't mean we agree with you,
Right, right,
but we will defend your right to enunciate it,
right.
and we will let you use our place to do that. But, yeah,
Yeah, and if they do, you know, like start a riot, then guess what? You don't get
no,
it.
no, I mean,
Keys are
the
taken
irony,
away.
the irony is that, you know,
Yeah.
this particular group and groups like it
Mm.
all across the country
Right.
are trying to censor materials,
yes,
Absolutely.
right?
Right.
And so the question is, are we the ACLU, and, you know, we support every,
Mhm.
I mean, that's the irony.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
welcome people in who might wish to go through your
But that's really where you really
Right.
have to support them. Not support them,
Yeah.
but allow them, because
Yeah.
then you're just being a hypocrite,
Right.
so.
you know, Lenin always said that democracies contain the seeds of their own destruction. And being mindful of the experience of Germany, when Hitler came in, it was exactly that. Never won a majority, never won more than a third of the vote.
Yeah.
But look what we wound up with.
It's true, yeah.
And that's,
Yeah,
You know?
I think they'd be respectful of the facility, which is all we can hope for.
exactly. You know, it's funny, we were doing the history tour with Katie and Emma, and at the conclusion of it, one of the things that came up was the Bay Colonies, Bass Bay Colonies' treatment of the speech of Quakers.
Mhm.
And it was suppression in the extreme. We invented this censorship stuff. Well, the Catholic Church invented it, but it's no whole story. One man's opinion. Ignore it.
That's okay, Alex.
Me loves stuff.
It fits the Monty Python victim, but nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just showed up here, so that's great.
No, there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving
Scary
forward.
scene.
So staff compensation, I have no progress aside from the increases for the 2 part-time positions on that front. I do need to get definition from Tracy probably in the next month on how to handle, this is sort of tangentially related, but how to handle snow days and
Right.
closures
Yeah.
and things like that. I have seen what's written in the policy, and so there's not a lot of wiggle room. I do have several other policies, including the one from state of Massachusetts, which is much more friendly and actually much shorter. And, you know, I don't think policy is unchangeable. I do think it's probably not easy.
And a lot of the other towns, they have extremely different. I think we were the only ones that I saw.
We are, and as far
Yeah,
as
the rest of them
when I
are-
was an assistant director, I had surveyed all the other
Mhm.
assistant directors who attended from around the state,
Mhm.
and we were the only library that does.
Yeah, it says in the
only-
policies.
Yeah.
Only library that said what?
We don't
That-
pay our full-time benefited
And
employees.
snow day.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you work, or you're supposed to work, all the other libraries pay you. For
we
that.
take it from either your measly 2 weeks vacation, or you have to work those hours after, which is a challenge when you're already working full-time.
And it's not just the library.
It's not just the
No, that's the
library.
problem. It's across the board.
Right, right,
Except if they're unionized, then it's different.
right. So
Does
I'm,
it impact town hall employees as well,
Yes.
Terry?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you would see, because,
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
everybody. Yeah.
Only the unionized.
Yeah,
Or
the
is
library
that-
doesn't have separate policies. They're underneath the town's policies.
Right,
So, and like I said, except for the unionized portions.
you know,
right.
So, you
it
know,
isn't,
it's not just us,
no,
but
but,
we can be in the forefront. You know, saying,
you know,
does this make
just,
sense?
right. Especially when we have such a hard time with our low wages and compensation trying to attract talent.
Yeah.
Having sort of, I call them unfriendly policies on the books makes it even harder. So, you know, and I know that in the past, I guess Jean had a conversation with Mark Gluckman in HR for the town, and he had come up with some figure that it was going to cost the town money to do this, and she didn't question him at the time, but neither one of us understood, this is in our library budget, right? We had our
We're
budget for the
paying
year.
for it.
Right, it's already accounted for, so it should be a zero, it should not cost
Yeah.
the town a thing.
Salaries
do
are already
this.
being, well, your salary is already being paid,
Well,
but still.
the question is, what does the town do with the savings?
Yes, that's exactly it.
You know, we-
It costs them money in a certain way because they're,
If they're counting
well,
on
it's
that,
like, it's
yeah.
like when you're building a house, any money that the contractor doesn't get goes into your pocket and vice versa.
Except I don't think it does, because the
No,
staff
but
has to work it,
it's
they
coming-
have to make up the work.
But
Well,
it's
that's-
sort of coming out of your, it's coming out directly out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
so that's always the struggle in terms of who's in charge of this negotiation.
and
Yeah,
you know, a couple things come to mind. First of all, as we're all aware, the snow removal budget, which the town authorizes at town meeting, is permitted under state law to be underfunded and supplemented later. That's kind of like the reverse of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You know, if you're expecting realistically to spend $500,000 removing snow in the town of Newbury, but you put in a $300,000 item on the warrant,
Huh.
and you need to find that other $250,000 later, it will be found. So it's kind of the reverse of what we're talking about, whereby the money has been allocated, it's been approved, it's within the budget,
yeah.
and people don't come because it's snowing.
Well, and it's not that they don't want to come.
Of
It's
course
because they've
not.
been told you can't come.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Tracy has the decision. Dick and I chatted, Dick Passeri and I chatted with Tracy about this in our combined meeting many months ago, and she's well aware.
Yeah, and so I know it's not something she can just, wave a magic wand and do. This is it's gonna be a vote.
Yeah. We need to
So,
find a way to break the circle.
right, so what is that first step, I guess is the question.
So you're talking with Tracy about this? Is that what
I
you said?
haven't yet.
Okay.
This is where my question is like, what is that first step? To break the circle, you know, and to start the process. It may not get done this year. It may take some time, but.
Well, and it seems to me that the first step isn't one department talking to the town government, but one department talking to other town departments.
Yeah.
Because this is, you know, we need to survey whether other
Yeah,
town departments rankle about this policy or not. We don't know.
and
Well,
it's been,
they don't, a lot of them don't have the problem. A lot of them say if you Newburyport, they get paid for it. If they're scheduled to work, they get paid for it. If they, then, I think it's the mayor says.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about
Within the town.
Newbury departments.
yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said
I
other
mean,
towns.
this gets solved through some kind of collective
Mhm.
discussion,
it does.
not by a single discussion of one department on the.
Mm.
So if you, because if you get allied support for this across enough departments,
So there hasn't been a managers meeting since I took over as director.
at what meeting?
I thought that there were supposed to be monthly managers meetings for all, I'm a manager, considered a manager, all the managers of the various town departments. And I've been I've been wanting to be able to attend one, just to see, you know, how things go, but also to see if it's a forum
Yeah.
to have that kind of frank, open discussion. I have no idea, it might not be. But I haven't had one yet, so, and it's been what, 5 months? 6
There's
months?
another thought in this whole business of snow days and what have you. DPW workers who are on the snow plows will trigger, what, overtime, depending upon the timing of the storm. How is that managed within the budget? We contract with private contractors, PSN being one and so forth, to remove snow. How is that managed within the budget? I mean, our budget is set. It's just a matter of folks not being able to get to work,
Right.
calling it a snow day.
Who's in charge of the managers' meetings?
I don't know. I don't know if it's Tracy, maybe, as
Okay.
personnel director, or if it's, I don't think it's anybody on the select board.
Because that's probably the first place to go, to just say, hey, are we having managers' meetings? We have,
Yeah, I had asked her
policy.
if I'd missed any, she said no.
okay.
None of this.
You didn't miss them.
Honest answer.
Yeah,
But no, Becky's right, us.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea, what Dick had said.
Yeah.
They rest, because they're all impacted by it.
right.
So
I
I'm
just
sure
don't
they're
think-
like,
I don't think one is coming up, because this was just a couple weeks ago that I had asked her.
maybe, does she know that she's supposed to have them? Because she's new, right?
Yeah, Tracy knows.
Oh, I thought
She's
Tracy
been
was
here
new. Oh,
for
okay.
14.
ages, yeah.
14 years now.
Get
And
it.
I know that Jean used to participate in them.
Okay.
I just don't know how, I don't
Alright.
remember how regularly.
Probably with COVID, they said.
That's true,
No.
They might have zoomed them out.
that's
Yeah.
true.
But you know, the whole budget process is coming down our pipeline very soon. I mean, it's mid-October now,
Right,
latter part of the month, so.
right. So that is the staffing compensation challenges, that's where I'm at. So I'll add those kind of action items to my list, see if I can get
You
those
don't
done
have
by
enough
the
to
next
go,
month.
right?
And Alex, that you already updated on the generator project, which is great. I have an interesting thing, I did receive the water bill for, and I made a copy before forwarding it on to town hall, because, and then I looked at the entire FY '22 year of library expenses from the building budget. For the entire year of FY '22, we spent $307 on water. For the last 3 months, we spent $355.
And I don't know if I
You did.
told you or somebody else, Michael was walking the dog by the baseball field and there was a huge puddle, it was broken, so there was
Yeah.
water bubbling out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
So our bill was more for this quarter than the entire last year.
It's quadrupled.
Right.
So the question is this because of inflation, which is hitting many departments?
No. Those rates are the same rates I see on my
Yeah.
water bill. You mean, I
I
think
just
they're on
got
the
mine.
system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just curious whether it was an economics problem or a functional problem. Sounds like it's a functional
They've
problem.
gone from usage in the vicinity around 1,100 cubic feet a quarter to over 6,000. I mean, that's a swimming pool, for the love of God.
I did, to me, it's like I told you, there's gonna be a problem with
Yeah,
this.
and the
Yeah.
problem,
And I
Yeah.
understand it's only for what they say a couple of months are,
yeah,
but it's still a problem.
But in the fall,
Yeah, well, that's when they actually put them in.
well,
Yeah.
no, this is July through September.
Oh, all right.
So the problem is that this extra money is money that is our funding to replace the staff, wall oven that doesn't work, and to fix the door to be handicapped accessible, So it comes out of that fund, which we desperately need,
yeah,
for our own things. So that, I want to be generous and kind to the rest of the community, but I don't want to use our funding because it's so hard to come by.
yeah, well, we can't
So
be,
is there a leak?
There was just for, I think, like 3 days that my husband noticed it. But
But he noticed it in the ball field?
in the ball field,
Yeah.
inside, you can't get in because they
Yeah.
padlocked it or whatever, which, if the library is funding the water for
Right.
it, everybody should be able to use it. And I
Right.
understand, they just seeded it and whatever, I get that.
Yeah.
But, the bottom line is,
They should pay for it.
Well, right.
well, but that's the whole point.
That's the bottom line.
That
it ain't
is,
got nothing to do with books.
I
Yeah.
tried to do it before, have a separate meter.
that's what I
Exactly.
want. I
But
want
they said, no, it's not gonna be much. Well, okay.
We need, I think we need
That
2
counts as
meters.
much.
If it's gonna be offered out to other groups, I think we need to have the library's meter, and however they wanna manage those other groups.
Yeah, I agree.
Or the town needs to find a way within its accounting mechanism to substitute, or to supplement rather.
But is it really the town? I mean, it's
Yeah.
for the baseball
Yeah,
field. It's
that's-
only for a
Right.
group, for a couple of months,
Right.
or 3 months,
Mm.
which I think it's great. I think we should have programs for kids.
Yeah,
But, if you're gonna say that's all it's for,
Well, we have the garden club, I think, wanted to use it, and
great.
John Ashton mentioned something else about who wants to use the
Yeah, but nobody was supposed to be
water.
doing outside watering, so did they really even use it this year?
Apparently.
Apparently they did.
somebody,
Yeah.
if we were using, through a leak, 6,000 cubes in the course, the building would be floating. You know,
Okay.
it would pop up. So
So what's the next step on that to?
chit chat with Tracy about it, she's aware of it.
Yep,
I spoke with her about it during my last meeting with
Right.
her, after Beth, brought the thing up to begin with. And, she's aware that we have certain expectations in regard to paying for the water for the ball field, which, it's a town effort and all that kind of thing, but,
Well, it's really a separate, I believe it's a different organization that does the baseball.
as long as they're not squeezing our budget.
Well,
If you go back historically, as Erin has done, usage has been in the approximate area of about 1,000 cubes every quarter, because that's what 300 and some dollars would support based on the rates.
okay.
And the rates have been the same for the last 3 or 4 years. So, clearly, more water is being used, and it is being used within the confines of this building, so.
Right.
But find a way to half pay, 3/4 pay that thing. They will.
All right, all right, and so the last thing I believe I need to let you all know about is the long-range plan, which I sent you. I have been in communications with Christy Chadwick at Mass Library Systems, who did that she ran the initial meeting, community meeting that I do have data from. That was in February.
Right.
And I think we'll be able to pull this together. I've had some responses from staff already. I think you also gave me some. And did you also give me some? Somebody, I have, they're trickling in, and really great responses so far, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I didn't send it in yet. I
Okay.
started and then I was like, wait a minute.
No problem. There's,
I have no idea what the health.
yeah, sorry, and I updated the form. So there were two parts to trying to
That's
rush
fine.
this through on Saturday, and one was
Ooh,
finding the copy, and the second one was doing the programming to make a form that worked on our website.
Well, the good news was she hit some points that I did. So I'm like, good, I hit some points that she wanted, so that's okay.
Who?
oh yeah.
The one you sent out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
So
was
that's
like,
still
okay.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
And if
so
you click on it now,
it's better?
it's updated,
Okay.
and I took out that line.
No, I admire your ingenuity in finding a template that
Absolutely.
generally worked.
Yeah,
And, I mean, that's the smart way of doing things.
yeah, I
Yeah.
was just trying to kind of push it through as fast as possible.
Yeah.
Here, throw this into your mix as well. Dick's question prompted me to ask about the health, and I said, you know, we ought to have a defibrillator in this building.
Next year.
Well, you're doing Sharon's office.
You're doing something anyway.
That's the best place to have.
But if you put that in your action plan, in your long-term action plan, you
Yep,
can use the ARPA funds for the damn thing.
yep, yep.
You're updating the CPR training for staff, that's one of your,
It is on my
Thoughts
list.
in
There was a
here.
reason Jean didn't want to do that, and I can get into defibrillators at another time. For now, as far as the long-range plan goes, it was due last year. So now for December 1st, I have a long-range plan and an action item, and an action plan, which is annual. It's supposed to be based on the long-range plan. Unfortunately, they're both due at the same time, and one is based on the other, so it's a big rush.
Mhm.
The information that I'm getting now until the end of October, Dorothy and I are gonna kind of plow through and try to analyze the data and pull out, you know, the main themes that everybody is talking about, commonalities, and start drafting something. I hope to have a draft for you all to look at and assess and maybe edit, tweak, you know, give me your thoughts and all of that, and or approve. Actually, it needs to be approved at the next meeting. So I guess I'll send it all out to you individually as a draft to elicit feedback, because I can't, because we won't be having another meeting, but I do want your feedback. And then hopefully I'll have something that is ready to be approved, 2 documents that are ready to be approved at the November meeting, and be able to submit it to the MBLC by December 1st.
Has there been any criticism from NBLC since we didn't file?
No, I don't know what
in
happened
December?
last year, because we would have needed an action, but I don't know. So the reason I saw it was that I was counting, and I had gone through looking at past years, and I count on my fingers sometimes, and I'm like, all right, FY17, FY18, FY19, FY20, FY21, and I went, wait, that's 5. It's supposed to be a 5-year plan.
Oh dear.
So anyway, they haven't said a word.
Good.
So possibly this isn't anything I should be stressing over. I don't know.
But
But
gotta be done sooner or later,
it's
so
gotta be done.
you're on the
anyway,
track.
and- Yeah.
Stay with it. It's wonderful.
So that's all I got.
Maybe they don't count the first year.
Right.
Tell them the Board of Trustees is mathematically challenged,
Yes.
Well,
except on water bills.
yeah, except on what, I'm gonna wait for that. Oh, all right.
Yeah, so if anybody, let me see, did I get everything on there? Oh, the FY24 budget request. I'm starting, I was about to dig into it. It started a tiny bit, but then the long-range plan kind of took me away.
Intervene.
Yeah, so that's also gonna be due at the end of December. And that'll be our budget request for next year, that I'm largely thinking of requesting more money from the town to cover materials that are required in the materials mandate by the state, to see if we can get a little bit more under their umbrella. Not all of it, but a little bit more would be helpful.
Baby steps.
Yep.
Yep. It's savvy.
Boy, bravo.
Thank you.
This is busy.
It's busy. It's very, 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 very busy.
A lot of
But a
parts.
busy library is a good library.
That's right.
So,
Oh, I
Dorothy
wanted
was
to
saying
tell
that
you
just the other- or Nicole was.
When you were talking about, anyway, upcoming programs and events.
Yes.
I saw that you have monthly. I saw you had like a little, well, it's in kind of a little plastic thing at the checkout desk. You put in October's events and you had pictures and stuff. I like that
Oh, the monthly, yeah,
because the more you hit people,
yes.
Yep.
and I have neighbors that are like, what? I'm like, this is going on and this is going on. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? So
Yeah.
this is nice. I mean, if they
Is that
come
a
in,
new, we've always had those, but is
I
that a
don't
new
remember
place?
ever seeing it.
Oh,
And then, it's all, you also have one in the conference room, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
So anybody who uses it can, I love it.
Exactly. And out in the lobby
Marketing.
as well. Word of mouth for a small town is still probably, well, actually, social media is starting to
Mhm.
creep up there. The last data that we pulled from was it the former Lighthouse show, I think it was? A
Mhm.
lot of people found out about it from social media and from our newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Both electronic formats, and the website, that was the other one. So I was surprised because that's a shift when 5 or 6 years ago,
Right.
it was the newspaper.
Mhm.
That was where people were finding out about these things, so.
Well, I just think that's great, because then
Yeah.
whoever, I'm like, I looked at it and said, oh, and I've never, I
Yeah,
always look around while I'm there, but
yeah, I dropped
I said,
off,
good job,
when I go to town hall now, I'm dropping off
Oh, that's
our
excellent.
flyers there, and since COA is there now too, and there's like a lobby table. So
Nice.
just trying to get multiples so people can grab it and bring it home, but, we're getting there. We're gonna redo all of our marketing materials, this winter, because they're all out of date, since all the changes from COVID, and never changed them during COVID, because it was changing every 5 minutes, so we were like, well, we're not gonna spend money on marketing materials, it's gonna change next week. But I think it's time, so that's exciting, and we'll get those things
great.
accomplished.
And hopefully some of the financial things that have changed provide stability for the staff.
And I should let you know, I have a friend who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning medical journalist who focuses on public health. And she says that there are some variants brewing in Europe and England that we should be really concerned about because they beat all of the drugs so far. So
Oh, great.
So just, what I'm saying is,
I just saw people from Germany.
and it's one of the reasons I'm keeping my mask on in closed places
Yeah,
more than I thought I was going to have to.
yeah.
So.
It's just an art this morning with 2 German people who came through. I'm like, oh, we're doing tours now? So I was friendly. Well, maybe I'm not going to be anymore. Well, thank you for that warning,
I mean, she is
Oh, yeah.
she's often on the extreme edge of stuff about this, but I listen to her.
Oh, I would.
I wanted to add one more thing.
Good to know.
That was a good thing to flag. Alex, you had pointed it out, what was it?
There's an occasional incompatibility on salaries and wages expenditures.
That's right, it was
You
salaries.
pulled that right off.
Yep, and so it looks like my data, I think I explained in an email, is gonna be slightly delayed from town hall, so I'm gonna use my own numbers here and know that I am checking them whenever they give me a report to make sure they're the
They
same.
match.
Yeah.
Mm,
Municipal expenses, I think, is the one I wanted to call out. That is high, and I wanted to tell you why. We spent, as of July 1st, almost $19,000 for our yearly membership to the VLC for the
Mhm.
consortium, as well as about $4,000 to Overdrive for a year's worth of ebooks. And so that's a big chunk of the budget to come out all at once. So that's why we're at 39% and we've only passed 28% of the year.
Makes sense.
So that's, I wanted to explain that's why
Makes
we're
sense.
not matching up there.
okay. But both of those count toward our materials expenditure, do they not?
No, only the $4,000 for the ebooks. Our membership, that's just under 19,000 to the
Yes.
MVLC doesn't count.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say it's worth every penny. For the bang for your buck that the community gets from that membership is huge.
Keep track of all our data.
Well, and that's the reason why they can go to any other library and get books from other libraries brought here, and, you know, because of that membership. So I think that's the last piece from me. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cheaper now.
Does that get it, guys? Okay. Move to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, next meeting?
Oh, yes.
Oh, right. Hold the movement on November what?
16th, I think, is what it works out to be.
Oh, come on.
Mhm.
16, yeah.
Do you want 3:30 again?
That works for me.
Me too.
Has anybody heard from Margaret?
No.
Tell me the time and the date again.
November 16th at 3:30.
Okay. That's the same day as the presentation, the genealogy presentation,
What time is that?
6 to 7.
Oh.
The woman coming from, yeah, it's fine.
Is that going to be a problem for you?
No.
Awesome. All right. All right, so in the meantime, I will, as soon as we have a draft ready for a long-range plan and the action plan, I will send them to you all.
All right, thanks.
Okay.
I hate this thing. Okay, resuscitating the motion to adjourn.